On November 20th, off the coast of New Zealand, Rocket Lab became the second company to attempt a recovery of an orbital class rocket. The Electron rocket was able to deploy 29 small satellites into orbit, and its first stage booster was able to survive re-entry, which deployed drogue chutes and parachutes to allow it to softly splash down in the ocean. A recovery vessel pulled it out of the water, which shows to still be intact and in good condition. This is a huge step for the company, and they will be able to continue to perfect the recovery system for reusable rockets. Rocket Lab is a young company that has joined SpaceX, which is the leader in rocket reusability. SpaceX has around 60 successful missions in which the Falcon 9 first stage rocket was able to land safely after an orbital flight. There are other companies that are currently working on their own reusable launch systems, and rocket reusability is the start of a technological revolution that could be as disruptive as the digital age. You see, expendable rockets are very expensive because they're only used once to deploy a payload, and the rocket either burns up entering the atmosphere or crashes into the ocean. Recently, the private sector has shown that it is possible to recover rockets which can be turned around and reused like a commercial airplane. This greatly brings the price of rockets down with each recovery and reflight of a vehicle. Originally, NASA and the military both wanted satellites, cargo missions, or crewed vehicles to be launched on brand new rockets, but they've changed their mind over time. They are allowing flights to be flown on previously used boosters because they are seeing the advantages. SpaceX reusable rockets are safe and more affordable than expendable launch vehicles. SpaceX still continues its work on rocket reusability, which plans to have a fully reusable rapid launch system named Starship. The Starship rockets are currently being built in Boca Chica, Texas, with prototypes ready to perform test flights soon. Elon Musk expects that SpaceX Starship will be ready for an orbital flight sometime in 2021. Rocket Lab and SpaceX are both now in the reusable orbit rocket business. This will put pressure on other launch providers to get serious about rocket reusability. It will be nearly impossible for any expendable launch vehicle to compete with a reusable launch system. In fact, some legacy aerospace manufacturers like Northrop Grumman gave up on developing their own Omega rocket. They knew if their expendable rocket couldn't compete with SpaceX in securing Space Force launch contracts, then it would never be successful in the commercial market. Also, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin has demonstrated rocket reusability at the suborbital scale with its New Shepard rocket, and they continue to work on a reusable rocket orbital class vehicle of their own. Other launch providers like United Launch Alliance, which is a joint venture between Boeing and Lockheed Martin, will need to accelerate and improve their launch systems quickly in order to be competitive. There has also been the rise of nearly a dozen different small rockets within the last few years, and I expect more to enter in the coming years. The space launch business has been very competitive recently, and more players are entering the playing field. I expect SpaceX and rocket companies that innovate quickly, like Rocket Lab, to beat out old industry players that fail to adapt. We are just witnessing an event I love to call the Rocket Wars, a race within the industry to develop and build the best, most affordable rocket to beat the competition. I believe the best reusable systems will win, and expendable rockets will die out. This race will be more disruptive than the Cold War space race that pitted the United States against the Soviet Union for technological supremacy. This competition will further innovation and disruption that will have huge technological benefits for both space and on Earth. We will witness a technological change that could be comparable to the digital revolution that brought the rise of personal computers and the introduction of the internet. Remember the promises made in the 1960s, such as the movie 2001 Space Odyssey, about large space stations in orbit, bases on the moon, hundreds to thousands of people living and working in space? That could happen as a result of rapid rocket reusability. With new technological revolutions come great investment opportunities. The space economy is already expected to grow from around $400 billion to $1.4 trillion by 2030. However, this current rocket disruption could take that valuation even higher. Space will be made more accessible than ever before. The price of a space flight should dramatically decrease with reusable launch systems. Elon Musk believes that SpaceX Starship will enable a price per kilogram below $100. With lowering cost, it will allow new companies to enter or expand on current business ideas. For example, Momentus is preparing for this disruption in spaceflight. The small satellite industry continues to grow, which also has a growing demand for in-space transportation. Not all satellites can be placed in precise orbit by a rocket. Sometimes they need to rely on an in-space transportation service that can deliver them to their final orbital destination. This is where Momentus Vigoride orbital transfer vehicle, also known as a space tug, becomes very useful. The small satellite market is growing, which means more demand for space tugs. Lowering cost of rockets can deliver the Vigoride to space for a more affordable price, and the entry of a fully reusable rocket like Starship will only continue to lower the price. Momentus's expenses will decline and its revenue will grow. To summarize, Momentus's advantage: reusable rockets equal lower launch provider cost, which equal lower prices to access space for customers. So, Momentus will pay less to get its space tugs to orbit, and also lower launch prices equal more satellites able to access the market, which equals more demand for in-space transportation services. Momentus will gain more paying customers wanting to use their space tugs. I see reusable rockets as a double win for the Momentus space tug company. Less money needed to be spent on ride-sharing rockets and more customers entering the market thanks to lowering costs. Also, Momentus has an early lead with little competition in the space tug business and proven technology already demonstrated in space. This is a major reason why I see Momentus Space as a great investment opportunity that will benefit from rocket reusability. Other companies will benefit too, but Momentus already has a specific market planned with long-term goals. Legacy aerospace companies are investing in rockets that won't beat SpaceX. Momentus doesn't need to build a rocket, but rather buy flights from SpaceX to deliver their customers' payloads. They've already picked the winning team in the launch industry. All they need to do is focus on the space tug market. Momentus has a huge opportunity to grow and potentially dominate in this market. It's also why I have bought stock in SRAC, the acquisition firm to merge with Momentus. It is risky, but could have a huge payoff. That is why I'm willing to take the risk. The more I look at everything happening in the space industry, I gain a better insight, a better sense of what the future will bring. And I see innovation and opportunity. Reusable rockets are just the start of lowering the cost to space, which could open up many more opportunities. More companies will also have the advantage, and I will also try to find these opportunities. For now, Momentous seems like a reasonable investment, just something you can put a little bit of cash in and wait and watch. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few years, the next few months. We have a mission coming soon in December. I'll follow that closely to see how it goes. Also, I will cover more on the channel to help you gain a better understanding of the growing space economy, as well as covering the overall space industry, significant spaceflight missions, and other investment opportunities. So, please like, share, and subscribe if you found this valuable and want to know more. Thanks again. I'm Eric Teal, and this has been the Space Stock Exchange.